What makes a good teacher? Well, let's ask my next guest, Ben Sacco, who's the Managing Director of Education Economy and joins me on the line. G'day, Ben.
G'day, Gary. How are you?
Good, mate. So I know that the nominations have closed just recently for the 2025 WA Education Awards, which looks at the Minister's Teacher of the Year, for example. What sort of criteria and what sort of person makes a great teacher?
I've been fortunate to be on a judging panel actually for some national awards like that, and it's a great opportunity to recognise the compassion, the innovation, the kindness of some of our awesome teachers out there in the field doing some pretty amazing things with young people in schools.
Okay, now you have also written a book. It's called Disruption in Schools, Understand Me Before You Mark Me. Is that about the teacher or the sort of system that you're talking about there?
Look, I decided I wanted to provide a guide, I guess, out there for teachers and for systems to think about how we respond to the daily realities of the school environment through a lens of understanding body and brain science, and that there's more to human behaviour than just the surface level and making a judgment on what we see. And so I'm really excited by that. Thanks for mentioning.
That's all right. Because I suppose my next follow-up question would be, how does a teacher, in the current climate, with their workloads, we hear about their workloads because of a lot of stuff's online and they've got to respond to things and all the rest of it. How do they sort of work out a student different to the next student and perhaps how to apply their own teaching ability to that student? That must be difficult.
For the great teachers and professionals out there, this is the thing. They already understand the way the body and the brain works, and they're really getting a sense of, and I've heard this speaking at some major conferences recently, that they're looking at better ways to understand body and brain science, and so they build positive relationships that they know increases safety for kids in the classroom, and that decreases this sense of emotional dysregulation, which leads to what we term disruption at times. So they're creating environments that are setting conditions up for these kids to really enjoy what they're doing and be plugged into that learning with that teacher.
And is that part of what teachers get taught, or is that something they have to learn along the way, or is there a separate program that they can go down to sort of understand how specifically to go, right, well, that's Robbie over there and that's Mary over there, and I've got two different approaches?
Really great question, because there's a lens right now on the are we preparing is the question. Are we preparing, I guess, teachers coming out of initial teacher education for the diverse needs and the challenges in the modern classroom? And the reality is that schools that are on top of this, principals that see the benefit in this, are supporting the teachers on the ground through consultants coming in, through further study and qualifications through universities outside of the typical certificate or bachelor of education kind of qualifications. So it's an on-the-job sort of process here that I think many great teachers understand. We learn on the job, and we've got to be emergent learners and continue to learn things as we go.
Out of interest, I went to school in the 70s, early 80s. Would a teacher have to have a different set of tools now than in those days in order to teach me and to teach me well?
The world's different. So I'd say, and I talk about this, yes, how we approach young people in today's classrooms in a modern world with modern pressures needs to be different to how we did 30 years ago, when some of the things technologically didn't even exist. But the principles here exist, right, that are the same. Compassion, empathy, getting to know our kids, building relationships that are positive. I tend to refer to teachers like they're the influencers in education, that they're shaping lives beyond the classroom. And to your earlier sort of point of a person calling out they may have taught you, we don't as teachers even get to see some of the outcome of our hard work years gone by unless kids look us up and say, thanks for what you did that day or that year you had me. So it's really, really quite rewarding being a teacher, but we don't always see the fruits of our labour.
All right. Teachers' awards, when we start recognising teachers, why is that important?
I think it's pretty clear, in the recognition, and not just celebrating achievements, but valuing this vital role that education plays right now. So giving an opportunity to exhale and breathe and pause, and teachers being recognised for some of the incredible stuff that they're doing that's not really a public sort of open news daily, and so just giving an opportunity to celebrate excellence in education. I might say what WA is doing, it's contributing to a wider recognition because it highlights teachers of excellence and their quality, so it gets other states talking, which is pretty powerful.
Yeah, indeed. Now, this is probably the toughest question for you, mate. If I'm sort of just about to finish high school, going to university, and looking at what I should do with myself as a career, and a lot of people go, oh, geez, I hear a lot of negative stuff about teaching, how hard it is, the kids don't respect you these days. What would you say? How would you go about encouraging someone young to go into the teaching profession?
I think it's a great profession to be considering. I always tell a story of a teacher that never even taught me a particular subject, but would open the music room up because I was in love with music. I played, I wrote as a young kid. And this particular teacher, who today is an assistant principal of the school I went to at high school, he really just went to the above and beyond lengths to actually give me an opportunity to engage in learning. And I just think, I gave him a book actually recently, and for him to turn around and say he really feels it's quite incredible to actually see some of this work and the possible impact of him when I was a student. So I try and let people really understand the power of relationships and human connection and teaching separate to curriculum. It's just an amazing experience when you can shape someone's life or have an ability to influence it in a positive way.
All right. Hey, great to have a chat to you about all that today, Ben. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. Ben Sacco there. He's the Managing Director of Education Economy.